We find out who the Chiefs are going to play and when, starting tonight. Lot going on. We're going to answer your questions. It's Chief in the North night here on RGR Football. Let's get after it. Welcome back, friends and neighbors. It is RGR Football. I am Ryan. This is me going rogue on the Kansas City Chiefs and the NFL. A lot going on tonight. We're going to find out how the Chiefs play. I will be live about a half hour after the actual announcement show begins over on the Locked On Chiefs channel. Make sure you go check that out. If you're new to us, make sure you like and sub and hit that bell. The sub will help you because we have a lot going on. We have a lot coming for you in the next year. We had a last-minute issue getting Seth on. He can't get connected right now, so he may be able to drop in with us later. He may not. So I'm going to run the show tonight, and we're going to talk about everything that you guys want to talk about. And my big theme for the day, the discussion that we were going to have is it's been a tumultuous kind of end of the last season through the draft, that kind of thing. A lot of back and forth, a lot of folks getting fired up. What does it all mean? And can they get back on the path that they were on before? Can they take that step forward? There's going to be a lot to it. So I see that you guys are already getting into the questions, and I am really pumped to answer them for you. I'm going to do that, but got to shout a few folks out. Chris Weeks joined back into the memberships here, as did Jason Fisher. And folks, I want you guys to know, if you do join the memberships at the rookie level or above, that's the $15 a month kind of level, where you get some of the extra stuff from me that is a little bit more colorful in language, would I say? If you join at the rookie level, you get all that, but you also get to get in the Discord. And that's by emailing me at rgrpodcast@gmail.com, and I can get you added to the crew there. Great discussion, very specific, and it is Rogue Nation. So it is all of us here from the channel and all of you that follow us. So give that a shout. And Jason, I know that you're signed up. Chris, thank you for signing up again. I'm glad to see you guys in the fold here. And this is going to be, I think, a fun night because we've seen a few leaks all day long. We'll talk about a couple of those here in a minute. And then we should have the confirmation tonight. And like I said, I'll be on the Locked On channel. But it's about the league and about the league, how it goes about creating competition. So that's what it comes down to for me is, can the Chiefs get back on track to return to the Super Bowl again? I think they can. I think that's the focus. And unlike we've seen in years past, I feel like this is a hiccup. This is not, the classic retool, rebuild. I will not say that out loud again, I promise. It's not the classic. This is, they identified what they needed to fix, and they fixed it, just like they did with the offensive line last year. It's just that it wasn't all in one place. This was a defensive retooling, additions, like fixing what you did wrong. But it was more spread out. It wasn't just in the front. It had to be all over the place. It had to be at all three levels. And so it doesn't feel quite as dramatic to people, but it definitely is. And I think the defense, for one, you guys know me. I am a defense first kind of guy. I enjoy that aspect of the game. And as an analyst, it's probably my stronger suit. But it's also very pertinent to how they're going to go about trying to get back. And that's the way that it goes. The road back is often a lot harder than it is to get there in the first place. And I think we've seen that. Terry, you can sign up somewhere over here. Below us is a button that says join. It's in a blue outline. If you're on mobile, it may be over by the RGR logo on this side. You can just click that and it'll give you the plethora of options. There's all kinds of levels. You can join at the elite Brian Gooch level. That is all the way up there at the $100 a month kind of thing. Like, Gooch is the man. You can join all the way down. And if you just want to do the extra stuff in the chats and stuff, that's the rookie level down there. I'm sorry. That's the draft pick level down there. And it's just basically for the live streams, that kind of stuff. So there's all kinds of stuff in between. Whatever you want, you can do. And we have a bunch of options there. So, and you are, of course, one of the folks that's in here all the time. A lot of regulars in here tonight. But the thing about the league is that getting back to the competition level that you're at is often harder I think, than getting up there in the first place, because everybody's gunning for you and everybody's dissecting your film. And I think that's what happened to the Chiefs. And I think they really needed to retool. And I think they did that for the most part. And when you look around the league, there's a number of teams that are going to be looking to pick up guys off of this Chiefs team when final cut downs come. I haven't done it yet. I went through the defensive depth chart right now, and I made a mistake. I didn't superimpose the positions like I had meant to, so that actually was on my problem. And I will correct that. I'm going to do the offense next week, so we'll have that. Dan will be back next week as well. Dan needed a week off. He did a lot of work around the draft and held things down here, so he deserved it. So you guys will see him again too. And Stevie's in here. Say hi to him, everybody. A lot going on there. But I do want to share with you something too. If you want to know what's going on around the rest of the league and who's building their team in a new way, like I'm going to take a look at Brandon Beane and what he's doing differently than Veach and how the Bills are coming along, because I do foresee them as being a constant thorn in Mahomes' side and for this franchise going forward. I'm going to do that at a place that we recently built over here at NFL 33. And this is going to be an offset. Obviously, you guys know I do the Locked On Draft show now year-round about the draft and the class and how you build successful franchises. I am a personnel consultant. You guys know that I've been trying to make inroads in a number of ways into the league. Well, there's other leagues as well. So there's a lot going on there. But this is where all my draft guys, including Dan, but you guys met AJ last week on Sunday night on the breakdown. You'll meet some others that are going to help me as we build out our consulting agency about personnel. A lot of our work will boil down to some articles, some videos, and some audio that we will put over here on NFL 33. And I just made it easy. You can hit NFL33.com to get over there. If you're a paying subscriber, it is like the normal Substack idea, a monthly subscription. You can see a post or something every now and then if you're not, but it is a membership kind of deal. It's going to be an intriguing thing for me because this is stuff that I do all the time. I just don't really release it. Here on RGR, not many folks want to hear about what's going on around the league. So this is another way for us to do that and keep in touch with what all the other teams are that the Chiefs are gunning for, are trying to do. And I promise I won't let it turn into just making fun of Tyreek going to a team that underthrows him constantly. So I feel bad for that decision. Maybe you want to get that decision back, Tyreek. I'm not sure. But it comes down to this. As we look at all of that, competition is getting more fierce. The AFC West has gotten better. I think the Buffalo Bills fixed some of their problems as well. So I see them as not only an opponent, but a pretty significant obstacle. You guys remember I made those shirts last year, Believe 13, because that 13-second win was epic. And I don't think it's the last one. You can still get that over on the store, by the way. It's another way to support the channel. You can do the super chats. And I do see there's a bunch in there. We're going to get to your questions here in just a minute. As I kind of wrap all this up, it is about how the Chiefs not rebuild from the foundation. The foundation's there. It's retooling. It's taking what you learned last year in the way that the teams around the league chose to play you defensively and how they chose to exploit you on your defense. It is no surprise the teams are now going to try and get isolation on the outside against young corners and corners that they feel are susceptible. That's what they did against Ward. Ward is a good corner. They're going to try to use the Bengals process. Problem is not everybody has Jamar Chase, but they are going to do that. So it becomes pertinent to the McDuffie selection in particular, the Karlaftis selection, and then the guys that you took chances on in Joshua Williams and Jalen Watson in being guys that can stop the ball. It's not about trying to keep up with the elite athlete because that's not able to be done. Jamar Chase is not a guy that you're going to lock down, period. Ramsey couldn't do it. I don't think anyone's going to do it. It's about how you play team defense against it. And that's why I think when you see somebody that played a lot more zone in college in McDuffie fit into what it has traditionally been a man team here in Kansas City, that's not necessarily a divergence because as you guys saw this week, I did a breakdown yesterday on what he is really, because there's a misconception that he's a zone-only corner, and that's not anywhere close to the truth. But it is about how you choose to manipulate what he did do and emphasize what his strengths are. And I do think that that is something that you're looking at playing team defense in a different way. I'm really looking forward to that. So hopefully they follow through with the plan. So that said, I think the road to the Super Bowl is the goal. I don't think there's any reason to change that. Just because you had changed out some pieces doesn't mean that for this organization, Super Bowl isn't the goal. It is not. They need to get there, and I think that that will be the focus of this franchise going forward until the Mahomes era is over, but certainly in 2022. So with that said, let's get into your questions, and we'll run them down. Mac, Arizona week 1, early thoughts with no Hopkins, but Hollywood. Low-key think the Cards are due for a regression. I completely agree with you. And I really don't care that Kyler and Hollywood are buds. I thought they played pretty well together at Oklahoma. I'm not scared. I don't have a time on Hollywood, so I can't tell you just exactly how fast he is. But I have McDuffie that's good, and I have L'Jarius Sneed. That's all I need to know. That combined with 3 safeties that I think will be able to play in space and take away some of those threats, it does not bother me. Now, we don't have Arizona week 1 confirmed yet. At least I don't. I know I've seen it a couple of times on social media, but quite frankly, I've been head down working on some other things, so I haven't been able to confirm that. We'll find out later tonight. But without Hopkins, I'm not terribly concerned. It will be a test for the young guys, particularly McDuffie, but I feel like this organization is in a good spot to take care of it. So I'm not overly concerned with that. And I agree with you. Unless they really sort things out, I am thinking Arizona takes a step back. Thanks, Mac. Brian, great draft coverage throughout. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Programming note, Randan said, can you review position titles like XY, Mike, Sam? Says, sure, we should be able to do that. No problem. We often refer to it, and I apologize that we don't walk through it as much as we probably should, but we definitely will. It does get a little lingo heavy at times. I certainly appreciate that, Brian. And thanks for the comment. Pie Dessert, is all the local media handling the Jerry Jeudy news? I haven't seen much. The 5 o'clock broadcast is just due to hit the sports segment here locally in Colorado, and I'm not watching it. So they have a tendency here to underwhelm that. I think across the league, that's going to be problematic, but I don't know if he's going to get a suspension or something like that. We'll have to see the details first. At the end of the day, he's probably going to be on the field when the Chiefs play him. If the schedule comes out like it did last year, where you have both Denver games late in the season for the Chiefs, there's a possibility, but I think that this probably plays out in a way that there's a little bit of pressure there, and that just allows him to stay out of the spotlight and kind of concentrate more, which honestly makes me a little bit more nervous because I think without distractions, he may improve at a faster pace. Judy's a pretty good receiver. So, Mr. Butker, welcome back. Glad your burner's here. There is no excuse for the Chiefs not to win the Super Bowl, barring injuries. If we go 12-5 or 13-4, Chiefs have the hardest schedule in the NFL. Possibly. They have had for the last couple of years. So I will not put it past the NFL to just put it all on the Chiefs already. We've already heard that I think it's week 4. They're looking at the Bucs. So rehashing the Super Bowl where Tom got the better of Patrick, et cetera, that's going to be a big presence. I'm not overly concerned about it. I do feel like offensively being able to spread the ball around more is going to be much harder to defend than simply trying to double Tyreek and double Travis and try to shut down the offense. I felt the Chiefs were too specific in the guys that they could go to last year. And I think that's what bit them. Being able to go to Juju and go to MVS at times and have Sky Moore in there and obviously lean on Hardman to maybe have a career year, which is what I'm expecting from him. It is a contract year for him. I think that allows them to stay multiple across the league. And I think that bodes well for how well they'll be able to do on the field in terms of wins and losses. Thank you, Harrison. James, thank you. With Karlaftis just only playing for 6 years, the chances he's never worked on getting that bend in his hips and ankles. Sorry, driving. So using speech to sec. I use that all the time, and that's why you see my tweets that make absolutely no sense. So I understand you, James. Unfortunately, no. College coaches tried to pull as much bend out of him as they could. That's a skill set that you want in every edge rusher, so they're constantly going to prod for that and work on that. You're not going to change him. Physically, he is what he is. He may get a little bit stronger. He may get a little bit more explosive. He's already pretty explosive, so I do feel he has like a smidge of upside there. But his first step is great. His play strength is great. His hand usage is very good. I think he still has a lot of upside there, again, because he only played 6 years. I do think there's upside in his game there. But becoming a bendy circle around the edge, I don't think so. Hopefully what can get to the point is that he can attack the outside shoulder quicker enough so that he doesn't have to bend necessarily, but that he can use change level, much like Von Miller does, to get underneath blocks, to dip his shoulder. He's a big dude, so that's asking a lot. But if he can change his pad level, get under some blocks, get into the rib cages, some of those tackles, because he's a guy that has to naturally go through them, I think that allows him a better vantage point, plays it with more leverage. I think that will help his pass rush overall. And I think it will help him become a better player. Got you, Terry. Hopefully that helped when I explained that. You never know when my explanations are going to kind of go off track. So I apologize now in advance. I'm going to grab some more questions here, you guys, and then we will get back to it because I'm trying not to miss anybody tonight. We didn't know that we were going to do Q&A because I didn't know Seth was going to have any trouble. I don't think he did either. So it was kind of last minute. So we're just kind of playing catch up as we can tonight. I'm perfectly happy to do that because there's so many questions all the time this time of year. It's like, there's a lot of speculation, things that we just probably need to work out as a fan base and work out together. Truth Entertainment, what do you think about the Chiefs playing the Arizona Cardinals in the first week? If that is true and that's confirmed, then I think that's a good way to start. The NFC West is very similar to the AFC West, in my opinion, in that there's good teams that are going to finish fourth and third in that division. I think the Cardinals are one of them. It's a difficult division to win in, but I don't think without the pass rush that they've seen, and they do have a pass rusher that I really liked. Cam Thomas did end up going there. You guys know he was one of my draft guys, and he's going to be learning from J.J. Watt. But playing week one, I think that's very, very early to expect that the rookie class there is going to have the same kind of impact. And they didn't have the volume and the first round kind of picks that the Chiefs did. So I think the Chiefs definitely have the advantage there. Thank you, Entertainment. Zach, if Lonnie Johnson emerges as a starter, could he and Reed become a power duo since they already have that chemistry? It depends what you mean by power duo. They have chemistry because they both played safety in Texas. I do not believe that the Chiefs will try to put Johnson at safety. It didn't work very well. He played dramatically better at corner than he did at safety, and he needs to be a press corner. That is apparent to me, not only from his college film, but from everything I've seen in the league as well. He needs to be in contact. He needs to be physical. He needs to use his traits to their utmost. But I will say this. I do feel that having Justin Reed in the back, maybe behind him on that side of the field, I do feel like this gives them the option between McDuffie and Snead, and whether it's Fenton or Johnson, those would be the top four on my board right now for the depth chart. I do think that gives them the ability to maybe follow a wide receiver one with Snead or McDuffie if he really catches on fast. I don't know that I'd put him on that as a rookie, but I think following that, I think that allows you to then stack Johnson on a side where he has Reed behind him. And I think that probably helps Johnson play better. It helps him play more physical, understanding that if he should get beat early in the route, that he's got Reed over the top. I expect the Chiefs to play more split safeties this year. I expect them to rely on their three linebackers who are now young, agile, and hostile, just the way that you want them, to deal with, even if there's only two of them on the field at the time, with the run game and help support that so that they can play at least nickel most of the time. We've seen them drift that way in the last couple of seasons. Nickel, they play a lot of dime as well. But I think what that now is going to change to, rather than playing single high nickel, I think we're going to see split safeties a lot because I think they want to help Thornhill out and they feel like Reed can be a playmaker back there. And I think Johnson will be helped with knowing that those guys are backing him up. Patrick, did the Chiefs miss out on getting Ingram deal done cheaper now that Hughes got paid $10 million a year for the Texans? No, because the UFA tag that they put on him is for 4.4. I believe he came in at 4 even last year for the Chiefs. I think that was it. So, no, I think they're actually saving themselves some money because unless somebody offers Melvin more, they'll still be able to match. And I don't think he's going to get much more than 6. So, he was getting 10, doesn't bother me at all. I think they actually did it right. And nobody uses the UFA tag. Like, it was very creative for them to go dig that deep and use it. And I think that was a smart move on their part. I do feel like they want Melvin back. I think Melvin's happy to be back. I think he was just not wanting to sign because he didn't want to do OTAs. I don't think he wants to go to camp either. And quite frankly, I'm okay if he doesn't. I don't think that will affect his performance on the field, especially knowing that you have the youngster now that you have to get reps for. And that allows you some wiggle room there. So I'm not too concerned about it at all. Teddy, thank you for the super chat. Appreciate your support. Thank you very much. Crazy for me to think that McDuffie could have a similar impact as Peters as a rookie. It just depends how you're thinking about it. Because if you're thinking about takeaways, about turnovers in particular, it is a little crazy. That's not McDuffie's game. He has not been a player that took the ball away like Marcus did. Not in college, and I don't expect it as a rookie. He does have instincts, though, and he does get good amount of pass deflections. He just hasn't finished in college the way Marcus did. But again, he wasn't targeted that much. He only got targeted 36 times in his senior year in college. It's not a whole lot. But I will say this, in terms of deterring passes from being thrown because he's got his coverage locked down, and between getting the PBUs that he is very good at, I do think that he will have just as good an impact at actual incompletion rate, which keeps teams from getting first downs, keeps them from moving the ball down the field. So in terms of that kind of impact, I do think that he has the potential to do that. Absolutely. And I will hope that the turnovers themselves come along. I think Reed's got a little bit of that. I think certainly Snead does. And I hope that Johnson can find that again because he had a decent amount of PBUs as a rookie and it's kind of fallen off since then. Excuse me. Mr. Buckkicker, should have seen the Bills' reaction to us trading up and getting Trent. You can see it in their eyes. Yeah, when you go back and watch that, and that's another reason why I will be doing some good looks at the Bills and at Brandon Beane and his staff, because I do feel there's some parallels there. The age of the GM, the way that they target players, what they look for in players. Obviously, with different coaching staffs, you have slightly different schemes. There's more zone played in Buffalo from the corner spot, so the secondary is a little bit built differently. But they still look for those guys with the edge, and I really like that. And that honestly, it's turning into a pattern. Brandon Beane's could be pretty pissed at Brett Veach between the trade for Mahomes, now stealing the corner that they wanted, and they got their second choice. And I do believe Elam would have been the second choice for the Chiefs as well. I think Booth's injury scared a lot of teams off, including the Chiefs. I think he was probably farther down the board, if not off of it, because of the injury situation. I can see how the Bills front office might be a little salty at Kansas City. Jason, so with our new corners, and as you know that they all can do inside outside with Fenton, Snead, McDuffie, do you think there can be more matchup dependent on our secondary? I certainly hope so. And I do feel like certainly the big time receivers, when they play the Raiders and you have to go against Adams, I expect Snead to be on him, period. And that allows you to flip the whole thing. And that, I think, allows you to play a more consistent form of defense where they can't manipulate the matchups they get just by flipping sides because Travaris couldn't travel. That makes a big, big difference. Now, Johnson could play significant snaps. So could Baker. I do think he's still in the mix. The rookies probably could as well. And I don't know the tendencies of Josh Williams. I haven't even been able to get film on him hardly at all. And Jalen Watson, I think, can play on both sides, but he's more comfortable on the right-hand side of the defense. So certainly with those top three that you mentioned, it allows them to travel more to attack the top receiver on a given offense. And I'm really looking forward to that. Zach's got another one. How does this defense do in 2022 if we get Bradbury? We would have a top-tier secondary. I don't think Bradbury helps you much. I don't think Bradbury gets on the field right now unless it's as the third and you feel McDuffie or Snead can be the full-time nickel because Bradbury can't. Neither can Lonnie Johnson. They have to be out the outside. So it comes down to, are you willing to keep L'Jarius in at the nickel all the time? Or do you think that McDuffie can do it? And quite frankly, Bradbury got a good number of PBUs and interceptions. It was peak of his career, but he did it mostly out of zone. And if I think I understand what Spags is doing, he'll play more zone high with the safeties. I don't know that he wants to play more zone overall. So that for me is the limitation because Bradbury did not play well in man last year. I think at the end of the day, Spags still wants to play man. He still wants to bring the heat on third down, and you got to man up if you're sending an overload. Anything more than 5, sometimes even if you are sending 5, you got to have man out there. So I don't think Bradbury's in their plans myself. Zach, thank you for the super chat. Appreciate your support. How much of the schedule has been released? We've seen it trickle out. I saw 4 or 5 games be mentioned, and folks have been mentioning the Arizona thing that I just saw briefly mentioned on social media. I haven't confirmed any of it. So I'm just holding tight until we find out. Like I said, we will be live on Locked On Chiefs tonight as we go through and find that out. Stevie and the guys are going to be live way later tonight. Make sure you tune in for them as well. And here it is. He even set it up. We'll be live at 7:30. We'll start the process. Casey Sen will be on live later. Dan will be on after that. And then these guys are going to wrap it on Back Talk, and it is BAK Talk at midnight. So make sure that you turn into them. Go subscribe to Back Talk. You guys are going to love it. It's going to be, as I understand it, it's going to be more real. Just like the member videos that you get from me are more frank and are going to be a little bit more honest, a little more aggressive in their tone. I'm guessing that's what you're going to get from Stevie and the boys over on Back Talk. So I look forward to that. Check them out and make sure you get signed up for them as well, please. And let's see. Look, I'm highlighting more questions so we can get into those. It is going to be a late night. You are absolutely right, Miss Holly. Terry's got one. Sean's got one. I'm scrolling through. Mo's got one. Terry, welcome to the memberships. Glad that you're here. Remember, send me that email if you would like into the Discord and you're at the rookie level or above. And I'm sorry, guys. I'm still fighting that cold, unfortunately. So going to be a little bit up and down here. Cole, why did the league stop telling fans who preseason opponents would be ahead of the schedule release? It's weird. It's because they want to drive everything to schedule release and make an event out of it, sell advertising. They're doing these specials on every network tonight about the schedule release. It's just another way for them to make money through advertising. So they're going to try to keep things locked down until they release it in a way that they can make money off of. That's just the way the league's going. Andrew, if you guys like Karlaftis and McDuffie, if guys like Karlaftis and McDuffie work out, what do you think is our biggest need? Well, the weak point might be nickel corner if L'Jarius stays outside. Now, if you get the best out of either Fenton or Lonnie Johnson, that's probably squared up. Then it becomes, are you going to get the running backs to pop? CEH obviously has left people wanting. Rojo has done that as well. Like I like them both as a combination. We like Gore, but we didn't see enough of them. So we need some pop from that position as well, right? And you got to have all the wide receivers click. That's going to be the challenge. I think the linebacker core is shored up. The only other thing, and this is what I would say is the top need, you got to have more pass rush from the interior defensive line. Now, I hope Turk Wharton can take another step forward. I hope Colin Saunders can take another step forward. But it's thin. And if they had a chance to add someone that is a proven pass rush threat from the 3-tech or even interior from that, then I think you got to do that. You have to attack them from the interior tackle spots. And I think that's the one place where they're a little light right now. Bud Kicker, there's no excuse for the Chiefs not to win the Super Bowl, barring, I already answered this one. Sorry about that. I must be double clicking stuff in here, you guys. PK, hope you're doing well. With so many primetime games and so many stacked AFC teams this year. Do we win out or sink? Also, with the new additions to the defense, what realistic rank do you have for them at the end? I think the gap has gotten tighter. I don't think anybody surpassed the Kansas City Chiefs. It's still going to be them and the Bengals and the Bills fighting it out. And I don't think the Bengals helped themselves as much as they could have. I think the Bills did a better job in the offseason. I think the Chiefs did a pretty good job as well. And at the end of the day, if you get guys that can do what Patrick wants them to do, Patrick will do what he does, and that's for a win. So I don't think they sink. I don't think they win out either. I think the battles with the Bills, I think that's week 4 no, that's week 6, I think. I don't know. I can't remember. We'll go over it here when we know it for real. In fact, I'll open another window here on social media, see if I can find what I have. If anybody's done a summary, if somebody has done a summary, throw it in the chat and let me know, because I don't have it at my fingertips, to tell you the truth. But I think that's going to be a battle. I think you do have the Bengals, right, at home this year as well. I don't know. I know they listed it. No, that's on the road. It's Bills at home, Bengals on the road. Those two games, I think, are going to be playing a really, really big role in the seeding for the AFC. But at the end of the day, I don't think they sink or win out. I think they're going to have some battles and they'll lose one or two. I think they'll win a couple as well. So at the end of the day, I think it is more that teams have caught up, not that the Chiefs have regressed that much. Having Tyreek Hill was a luxury, but I think you can be just as efficient, if not more so, on a snap-to-snap, drive-to-drive basis with a good core of 4 wide receivers than you could with just Tyreek and a bunch of guys trying to fill it. Thanks, PK. Appreciate you. Bradley, please compare and contrast Trent McDuffie and Marcus Peters. I will in just a second, because I just realized I didn't finish PK's question. And with the new addition, defense can take a small step forward. I think they can be better against the run. Changing that many pieces in the secondary is problematic. So if everything comes together, I think they can be an upper, and I should say a lower 20s team, 20 to 23, kind of like at the end of the year. You just got to get off the bottom, and that's a good step forward. If you're going to scheme up blitzes that get enough sacks, or if Karlaftis can pull it off so that Melvin Ingram, and Frank can actually get to the quarterback for once, and then Chris Jones can do his thing on top of that, then maybe you get enough pressure and you can get home enough to make it real. That would lift them past 20. But that might be a season away. That's kind of my thought. Bradley. McDuffie Peters. McDuffie is way more fundamentally sound. He does not take chances like Marcus Peters took. He is an agile and active and willing tackler. Does not shy away. That is a difference. Marcus Peters had the advantage that he has just the uncanny ability to manipulate the quarterback into thinking he's safe and go take the ball away. McDuffie doesn't do that. He is like the foundational solid guy. He will take advantage, and he's more oftenly effective in deterring passes than allowing them to be thrown and trying to break on them. So that's kind of the differences. You will see them, and this is why it comes down to Fenton and Johnson. Because of McDuffie's presence, you will see them have to go away from him and away from Snead and have to target the third corner, whoever it is. And I think that's going to be the key there. If you get upper play that way from that position, then you're in business. And I think that all comes back to being scared of throwing at the two guys that have proven that they can deter passing. Teddy, thank you very much. Realistic record for this season. I think anything's legit from 11-6 all the way up to 15-2. Until we get to camp and I get a look at everybody for real, I won't be able to give you like a hard and fast number, but the range is still there. They're not falling below 500. I can pretty much guarantee you that, because they have not taken that big a step back, and I think they've helped the defense pretty dramatically in not raising the ceiling. Like they're not going to be, the most interceptions or the most sacks of any team in the league, but they've raised their floor. And I think that is significant and gets them off the bottom. Thanks, Teddy. Chiefs and Joyer, Cardinals week 1, Bucks week 4 are confirmed, I believe. I've heard Chargers week 2 and Colts week 3. Okay. Then it's Bills week 6 is what I thought I saw before. So it's spreading out. I mean, the big thing is going to be going against Brady and the Bucks in week 4, and I've seen that multiple times. It also stands to reason, like, Tom's a competitor, right? But he's already signed a deal to be an announcer for Fox after next season that's worth more than like half of what he's already made as a player. So is his heart really in it still? I don't know. They also have undergone a very big difference. Like, not having BA on the sidelines, I think, changes the Bucs. Now, I'm a big fan of Todd Bowles. I'm a big fan of Byron Leftwich. They've done a great job down there, but it is a transition. So we can't just assume that they're going to be as good as they were. That's my feeling. Like, I don't think that it's just plug and play. They go on, Tom's back. Like, it just doesn't feel that way to me. I could be wrong, but that's what my gut instinct tells me. So I'm not ready to say that it's going to be a barn burner. I think the Chiefs may be able to go a lot faster in terms of getting up to speed than maybe a lot of people outside of Kansas City think. Dre, how are you? Is Josh K going to play? I don't know. I got nothing. I didn't see anything about him last weekend, and because he was hurt so much, he should have been eligible to be out at rookie minicamp last weekend. Malik Herring was, and from what I heard, he's moving around pretty well. Kano's a complete question mark at this point. Until we get to OTAs and we see him, or we get to camp and we see him, I won't be able to tell you. But I still fall back on what I saw in my evaluation in college, and he had a long way to go before he was going to be productive against NFL talent. So I think that's still the case because he wasn't able to make much progress because of the injury situation. So could he play? Possibly. Could he need another year? Could he be a practice squad guy? Possibly. We'll see what happens. When we get our first look, Dre, we'll have a talk about it. Low Lip, hope you're doing well. Thoughts on Jerry Jeudy getting arrested? I don't know the situation. I heard it was a domestic thing. Some of those things get overblown. Some of those are underblown and concealed even. For the Chiefs, I think it would be great if he were not available at some point. But overall, I think there's enough weapons in Denver. And I think with Russ being the leader that he is, and everything that I've seen and heard is that he has stepped in and he has made a huge difference for that organization, how they prepare, how they understand their game, particularly their passing game. And I think there are other guys. I think Patrick's underrated. I think Sutton's, now that Tyreek Hill's gone, I think Sutton's the best wide receiver in the AFC West. I'll just say it. I am not that impressed with Keenan Allen and never have been. Tell me when he does something that wins him something, and I'll feel better. So I think that they're still going to be able to keep cooking. Angry German, how are you? Based on the talent added in the draft, do you think Spags is more likely to blitz or run exotic packages to come after the quarterback? I don't think that the talent changes anything. I think Spags wants to do his style of blitzing, and I hope he gets back to his NASCAR package. Quite frankly, he didn't have the athletes to do it last year. And the draft is more about fitting into what he's looking for. That's why they chose Karlaftis instead of Jermaine Johnson, rather than trying to, I have these guys and now I'm going to do that. But I do think we should see hopefully some more NASCAR in particular, but I do think the DBs will continue to blitz. I hope that they switch that up and send the linebackers, because all three of these linebackers are great blitzers, and I'm really looking forward to that. John S., hope you're doing good in Idaho. My pals up in Coeur d'Alene say hi. Help explain to me the 53-man roster, and then on game day, I'm remembering that the team also has even fewer. Is that right, or why, if it is? It is correct. It's a 45-man roster on game day. And I don't know why they do that. They say it's to even the playing field so you can't hide specialty players and that kind of stuff. I think it's ridiculous, but it's just me. But yes, it is a 53-man active roster and a 16-man practice squad. The new rules because of COVID, and they have been lingering, is that because you have somebody on the practice squad, if there is an illness or something like that, you can pull guys up and rotate them and send them back down. And it isn't exposing them to waivers like we've seen in the past. So that makes things easier. I wish they would do away with the game day roster and just the full roster should be available. That's just silly. But, the NFL does things for NFL reasons. And they will not explain it to me. Bill, hope you're doing well. Do you think that Justin Ross, if he gets healthy and back to performing at or near his former level, do you think he is more of an X or a Z? He's an X. He's not a Z at all. He's an X receiver. He does not have that kind of maneuverability to become a Z. The Z will be McCole Hardman or Juju Smith-Schuster. That's what it'll be. The question for me will be, do they try to move McCole and let him have a shot at the Z and put Juju in the slot? Because Juju can run out of the slot just fine. Sky Moore runs out of the slot really well too. Like they have 3 guys that are more than comfortable at the slot. So it's really a question to me is who emerges as a guy who wants to be the Z, who wants to be a guy that they have to move around to get matchups and kind of takes the pressure off of everybody else. That's going to be the question. Kurt, hope you're doing well. Who's your starters on defense, base and nickel? I went through this the other night, and it's basically like this. It's Clark, Jones, Noddy, Karlaftis on the front. When it's 3 linebackers, it's Gay, Bolton, and Chanel. When it's nickel, it'll just be Willie and Bolton. Then in the secondary, in my opinion, it's Snead, McDuffie, and Fenton right now. Fenton's got a little bit of an injury. He's coming off a shoulder surgery. I don't expect that to keep him out. They don't seem to be concerned about it, so I'm okay there. If there is any kind of hiccup, I think that's Lonnie Johnson's job, is my thought, is he's number 4 right now. And then I am hoping that Joshua Williams grabs that, but Boodle could grab it as well. There's a number of other guys that could grab that 5th spot at the corner depth. At safeties, it'll be Thornhill. It'll be Reed, then Thornhill, then Cook. And if Thornhill gets in the doghouse again, which I still don't have an explanation as to why it happened last year, do not be surprised if they let Reed play single high and put Cook in there. Cook can play split safety. I don't like him single high, but I like him in Dan Sorensen's role down closer to the box. They can all play Robert too. So that versatility, I think, lets you maneuver them around. I do think they'll play as much dime, if not more, than they did last year. Steve Atkins, with the relentless motors on defense that we have, do you see offensive holding by the opponents go way up percentage-wise? No. I mean, you're only changing out. I mean, you have Frank and Chris. Noddy's going to be your starter. You'll have Turk or I mean, everyone wants to talk about Stallworth. Stallworth had 1 season where he put any kind of pressures up at all. Before that, he was lower level than Colin Saunders, to be frank. So counting on that, I think, is a little bit of a guesstimate. So I think Turk Wharton becomes the better pass rusher at the interior defensive spot. So then the question is Karlaftis. And he's got a great motor, but I think as a rookie, I'm not sure that he's got enough counters to make it function. We're going to have to see. It may be a slow start for Karlaftis. Like, he's got great energy, but until he can string things together in a quick fashion, which is not what I saw him do in college, it might take him that adaptation time. Second half of the season, I think, is going to be way bigger for George than the first. So I think the holding percentage is probably going to be very similar. Terry, is there a free agent or trade? Do you think we can get another player? I don't know what's tradable out there. There will be guys that lose their jobs. There will be vets. There'll be that kind of thing. But I don't foresee anything earth-shattering that says to the Chiefs that they got to go get somebody. I'm not feeling or hearing that right now. So I just got to kind of ride with the general idea of what it is. Oh, good point, Stack. I totally forgot about Adams there for a minute. You're right. So Adams is the best wide receiver in the AFC West. I would put Sutton 2 is my point. Yeah, that was just a mind slip on Adams for me. Still getting used to that. It was a slight at Keenan Allen, not a slight against Devontae Adams. Let's see. What else did I do? Grabbing more questions here, you guys. This is different than when I have somebody else with me, because then I can do both at the same time and somebody else can talk for a second. So, yeah, that's a fair point, though, Stack. Sean, who do you see the Chiefs using in short yardage situation now that Williams isn't on the roster? I think it could be a combination. I think they'll try Rojo. I think it may end up being Pacheco, to tell you the truth. Man, that's a tough one. I hope it's Mike Williams. I'm sorry, Mike Burton. And I did talk to Mike today. So he'll be back on the show here probably next week, you guys. So get ready for some more Mike Burton talk. I think it'll be great. Let's see. Mo, sounds like Andy really likes Ross. What do you think? That's not how I interpreted Andy's comments about Justin Ross. I think he's buying him time to get adapted. That's what it sounded like to me. It's a big jump from being that injured and that downtrodden with that quarterback last year. I think everybody underestimates just how frustrating it is to play with a player that can't get you the ball when you're reliant on him. So I think Ross has more bounce back time that he needs. Both he and Andy Reid did say that he was knocking a lot of rust off. So I do think there's a little bit more work for him to do to get even off the ground before he can really attempt to get back to what he was as a freshman. But I do think the Chiefs training staff and the medical staff in general are the best bet that he has. The Chiefs and the league has a lot of confidence in those guys. Terry Dunlap, welcome to the memberships. Glad to see you. Kyle, which rookie special teams and which rookies play special teams and what roles? Which rookies will be protected from playing special teams? I don't think Sky Moore is going to play special teams unless he's the returner, and I don't think he's going to be the returner. I think Pacheco is going to try to carve himself out that notch, and I hope that he gets it because he's going to be buried on a depth chart running back-wise. I don't know he's going to get a ton of looks. So I want to see him return stuff. I'm looking forward to that. Karlaftis will probably play a little bit. McDuffie a little bit. Cook will play special teams. He did at Cincinnati quite a bit. And I'm confident he's pretty good at it. I think that Josh Williams can play special teams pretty well. His game kind of lends itself to that, especially as a rook. That could even land him on the roster. So I have my fingers crossed there. Bill, what do you think about, do you think Watson can play safety? The Chiefs decided they are good at CB. I haven't seen Watson do that, and Watson's better at man than he is at zone. So I would say that's probably a long shot, but you never know. You got to get him in the mix and throw him in there and see what he does. Maybe the light will come on and he can click there. That certainly is within the realm of possibility. I can't rule that out at all. Not at all. Let's see. Who else? Karras. What do you think of Herring? Would have been drafted if he wasn't injured in around what round? I liked his film, yes. I had him, I think, as a 4th round pick, if I remember correctly, before the injury. I did take him off my board because of the injury. I will say that. And I like what he did. He was kind of the grandfather to all these guys at Georgia's defense now. They weren't playing as freshmen because he was there. So I think that says something. But quite honestly, after a complete year off, and I didn't get to see practices last week, I just saw clips. But from what I heard, he's moving well. Question is going to be when pads come on, what's going to happen then? We'll know when we know. Until then, I think he's a guy with a lot of upside, at least as much as Josh Kando, and a guy that could play a significant role if he can put it all together and he's healthy. So I'm excited to see it. I will say that. Let's see. Who emerges as the leader on defense? It's going to be Nick Bolton. I guarantee it. Because Frank Clark's voice in that locker room ain't what it used to be. Anytime you're a guy that they're trying to move on from or trying to rework in order to keep at a lower level, it doesn't buy you a whole lot of confidence with the rest of the locker room. It will be Nick Bolton. They'd like it to be Justin Reed as well. They like him, but part of why just Nick Bolton is there is because of his leadership ability. And I think that's the way that it will probably work out. Matthew, welcome. Oh, and side note, CH told me that he was finally 100%, which adds up. Yep. He comes into my job every other day. I'm not as worried about the running back room because it's not the primary focus. And that's a very fair point, Matthew. I hope that Clyde's good. And we all heard, that he was going through a lot more than we thought he was. So I hope that he can take advantage of what should be more touches for him. And quite frankly, I hope he gets more passes. That's what I'm really looking forward to. So We'll see what happens. I don't know. Fingers crossed. Holly, thank you very much. Do you think that the Titans will be contenders for the number one AFC seed again this season? I don't. I have trouble seeing it without Julio and now without AJ. Burks is a decent player. Don't get me wrong. He's no AJ Brown. I'm just going to tell you that. In my opinion, I didn't have him as a first rounder because I don't think he consistently runs routes that will get him open. And I think Ryan Tannehill needs the help. Question becomes, Tannehill doesn't want him to be a mentor. When Tannehill gets hurt or has 2 bad games in a row, when does Malik Willis come in there? And Malik Willis and Henry and Burks, those are 3 guys that are hard to defend. I think the offense will become more RPO based, and that will make them more difficult to defend, in my opinion. See what they can do there. I agree with you. I don't think they're the number one AFC seed. I hit that twice. Sorry about that. Get rid of that one. Possible trade candidates if we get to week 5 or 6 and the pass rush is really lacking. Oof, that's a good one. Pass rushers are notoriously hard to trade for in season. I mean, it would have to be somebody that either just craps the bed or has been made obsolete. I mean, I would love it if the young guys in Arizona overtook J.J. Watt. I would love that. And he became a luxury for them that they want to move on. Maybe Kyler's pissed off and maybe they feel like they got to move on and they got to do some things to take over from that. So, who knows? Oh, that's a good question. Do you think the receiver group will be a lot better from last year? I think the receiver group will be a lot more effective because they can't be doubled all the time. Like, you can't double everybody like you could when it was Kels and Hill and maybe somebody else. That makes it a lot easier to take those things away. So I think the offense will be more efficient and the wide receivers will be more efficient. And Britton, you're right. Like I said before, I forgot about the Adams trade. It's just so foreign to me, Adams being in Las Vegas. It makes me nervous. About as much as having to remember to say Las Vegas because I'm still doing that wrong half the dang time too. So, just let me roll with it here. Do you think Leo has a higher ceiling to be the true Mike ahead of Bolton eventually? It's a good question. On college film, I would say while they're very different, I think execution-wise, I think they're pretty similar. If you feel that you're comfortable with Nick playing outside, then maybe you could do it. But I don't think so. I think eventually what happens is you get Willie back on probably a pretty light deal. And Willie may become the third that is more the passing down guy. And in the base or just the 2, it might be Leo Nick is what could happen. That will be interesting to see, Lola. I'm not 100% how I feel about that. Norman, did you hear that they have moved tight end Hussein to DE to try him out there? I'm not sure who you're talking about. I don't recognize that name. But no, I did not hear anything about moving a player to a different position. That'd be interesting. That's pretty rare in the league. So it would have to be somebody with a background, I would think. So ADG, then, saying Carr is as good as Rodgers. Not even close. Yeah, absolutely. And that doesn't take away from Adams. I mean, Adams is Adams. He's still that good. He's one of the 2 guys that I had above Tyreek is the top 3 wide receivers. I had Adams, Hopkins, Tyreek is what I had last season. But yeah, thinking that Carr is going to be able to deliver him the ball as much or as well or as in opportune times as Aaron Rodgers is farcical to me. Even though they know each other well, they're good buddies. They played college together. That's cool. That was just me slipping on Adams being in the division is all. So that's not a slight on Aaron Rodgers. It's just, that's tough to see. Napoleon, how are you? There seemed to be an emphasis on physicality in the draft. Could the team be concerned with Thornhill's physicality since the injury? They could, but quite frankly, he's not, as a free safety, he's not a guy that has to be physical. I don't recall having games where I came away thinking that he avoided contact or did anything like that. I think they're more concerned about Thornhill in terms of understanding the assignments and being where he's supposed to be. That seemed to me to be the thing that they were more concerned about. But yes, physicality was definitely a thing. They'd gone small at wide receiver and they'd gone small at corner, except for L'Jarius Sneed in the last couple of years. They got away from what their standards were in terms of height, length, and speed. And you don't have to have all three, but you got to have two of them. And so I think they're getting back a little bit to what they've been classically. And I hope that does the trick. I think there's something going on in terms of Thornhill's recognition or execution of assignment. And that's what I think was the concern last year. And if there's any hiccup in his play or any time that we see him not on the field in OTAs and camp this year, then I would interpret that as an extension of what we saw last season, which only gives Cook more upside and more quick track to getting on the field. Alex, I don't think Adams will produce like he did with Rodgers. Absolutely not. I agree. It's hard to do that. Chris, can the Chiefs get back to the 2018 form? Possibly. That season, 18 and 19 is when we saw them like games where they had 8, 9, 10 guys catch passes from Patrick Mahomes. I feel like they could get back to that. And that makes them, in my opinion, harder to defend. That's why I feel like despite it's a retool, I don't think the offense takes a huge step backward because I think they're actually harder to defend now than they were last season when it was Hardman as the third and God knows who came in after that. And I like Pringle, but Pringle didn't scare anybody. He never did. And I don't think he was going to. That's why he's not here. I don't think that he just went and did anything like that. He was a guy that took advantage of his opportunities, but I don't think he was one that like made the defense really sit up and take notice. You know what I mean? That's kind of how I interpret it. Okay, let's see. Got a couple more. I'm stacking in here for the question section. Thanks, Chris. VFX, is Winchester too slight at 240 pounds? It seems like that there were several punting snafus last season with players rushing up the middle, Nick Allegretti to long snapper, swing lineman. I've never seen Allegretti snap in a game, I don't think. I know he's taking practice snaps, but I don't think that it's a size thing with Winchester. I think they were bull rushing him, and quite frankly, I was a little more concerned with the timing and the holding than I was with the snapping, to tell you the truth. So I wouldn't mind Allegretti if he can consistently hit the snaps, then I'm happy to have him in the middle. I like his game and I like his toughness, and I think Allegretti's a good option. Chris, how much money will the Chiefs save from moving on after Frank Clark? They won't save anything because it'll be the end of his contract, at least as we understand it. But that will take $13 million off the cap in terms of like his percentage. Let me double check that real quick. Because when they reworked it, it did change the bottom line numbers. I just can't remember. I don't think they added any years. I'm going to check that as we're looking here. Oh, and I was wrong. There is basically a void year that they'll cut him after the season and it'll be done. But they did put another year on for 2023. So he's 3.7 and a quarter against the cap this year. Total hit of 13.7 because that's a prorated signing bonus from before that they couldn't get out of. And then they gave him a $20 million base salary for next year. So that ain't happening. They will cut him after the year and that will be over with. It will leave them with $9 million in dead cap, but it will not hurt the actual cap space. It'll be dead money that they owe him, but it won't be cap space. So that's basically getting 13 back from what he'll be this year, 13.7 as it is. Lolit, player from this draft class with the best chance to become an all-pro. Woo! All-pro. It's one of the best four players at your position, basically. I'm going to say It's either McDuffie or Brian Cook, in my opinion. I think Sky Moore can be very good. I think Karlaftis can be very good. I don't know about all pros for either of them. But I think the DBs, especially coming up together, playing in a system together, I think they can do that. Those would be the guys. If I was going to lay bets down, that's what I would do. Okay, we're at the hour point, folks. We're going to wrap up the ones we got in stock, and then we're going. The schedule announcements should be coming out here pretty soon. Let's see. Saw the analysis compare Karlaftis to Jared Allen. I have no idea who did that because I don't see it. Jared Allen's a lot more dynamic. He had a better rush plan coming out of college. He had way more bend. I don't see them as similar players. Could they produce the same kind of production? That's possible. They'll just have to do it in different ways because I don't see Karlaftis having Jared Allen's game. So not sure who said that. I'd be interested to know because I don't see what they were seeing or if they're just making stuff up. I heard KCSN crew mention that Josh Gordon is 240 pounds. I had not heard that. Should we be concerned that he might see a transition to tight end? We should be concerned that we might have to see a transition to tight end. I don't know that that's a good thing. He certainly didn't look explosive last season. So he's also 31, going to be 32. So it might just be the end of the road. I don't know. It's a great point, Stevie. So prediction for Patrick stats from last year, over under. I think he has a higher completion percentage. I think he probably throws for less yards and 3 more touchdowns. I think his touchdowns will go up in 2022. So just so many more targets. That's what I keep coming back to. Great question, Oscar. Thank you. Jason, do we have enough of D-line to get any pressure this year? We're going to find out. I'm hoping that Colin Saunders and Turk Wharton can take a step forward and do something to take pressure away from Chris Jones. But the other big thing, when Melvin's back, and I do expect him to be back, I don't think anybody's going to sign him away. I do expect to see some packages where Melvin and Frank are on the outside and Karlaftis is inside next to Chris Jones, and I think that's going to pay off. I could see that being a front that gets a lot of pressure and hopefully turn that into a lot of sacks. Chris, I wish DJ would be the LB coach one day. I would like to see that too. Andy said he's open to it. So it's really up to DJ when he wants to coach. He has a job waiting is what I understand. Kinde is a Nigerian tight end who switched to DE. I, again, don't recognize that name. I did not see him get signed recently, did I? I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. I'll have to look him up. I will try to go find that, you guys. But especially if you're signed as a UDFA and you're switching positions, it's an uphill battle, I'll tell you that. Why? The rule has changed now, not when the Chiefs lost. Okay, I'm not sure what that was. Chiefs have accomplished less each year since the Super Bowl win. If that trend continues, does Veach get fired? No, Veach is not getting fired. I don't think that their output on the field, I mean, yes, you could say they've taken a step back each year, but they went from winning a Super Bowl to losing a Super Bowl to losing an AFC championship. That's not a trend that gets a GM fired. That's not enough. You'd have to go down to like 500 to get the GM fired. That just isn't enough of a backtrack. Because quite frankly, it shouldn't be. Every year you get a chance, and I think that's what they're all looking for. Casey, thank you very much for the support. How are you doing? What player, looking at how the draft fell, do you wish the Chiefs had moved up to get? I mean, I would love to see Jameson Williams in this offense, but moving up to 12 or 11 in order to get him was just not feasible. So I'm not going to say that. The only question for me was, could you have moved up twice to get Jermaine Johnson and McDuffie? That's what I would have tried to do, probably. I wasn't huge on Johnson either, but I did have him slightly above Karlaftis, which is the way that they were drafted in order anyway. So I'm fine with that. But I'm trying to keep up, Casey. I appreciate your support, and I appreciate you asking. It's that season. It was go, go, go all draft season, and now coming down afterwards. Sometimes you get caught up in stuff. It doesn't hurt that kids that get sick at school too. So if they add anyone else from free agency, do you think it's offense or defense, and who? From free agency, I would think it's got to be defense. It's probably on the defensive line, is my thought. If they trade, it might be an offensive weapon if they want to stock that up a little bit more. That's my thought, Casey. Well, that's it. We are down and out of the questions. So that is Chief in the North tonight. Seth will be back next week. Let's go watch the schedule show. I'll be live in about half an hour, about 25 minutes now, on the Locked On Chiefs channel. Go sub and watch that over there. Thank you, guys. Subscribe to the Back Talk channel. See Stevie and Gooch and Aaron. Make sure you get all that stuff done. Thanks for being here tonight. I'll talk to you next time.